So, actually, sorry, well, let me state that again. My name is Julia Kaye, and I'm a research investigator at Gladstone. I love Gladstone. Gladstone, I think, has fostered so much incredible science, so much collaboration. And the mission of Gladstone, I think, is so inspiring. In addition to the fact that there's just dazzling science that goes on here. I also love the leadership. So actually during COVID, which was such a scary time, I felt so grateful to be part of the community here. We had like the world's experts in viruses sort of helping analyze the data as it came out. We didn't really know what was going on. And then also just providing input and guiding the leadership in terms of policies and executive decisions. And I just felt like it made all the world of the difference being part of a team, part of a community where I felt like, science was driving the decisions that were being made. And that was really powerful. There's been so many people that have influenced me immensely in my scientific career. But I think if I had to pick the most single important one is probably my mother. My mother suffered from a terrible neurological disorder called multiple sclerosis for most of her life, at least from what I remember. And I feel like I was imprinted from a very early age with just this distinct understanding and realization about how diseases of the brain, of the body, cause suffering, and also sort of takes away a person's soul, if you will. And I think that clearly has driven me and inspired me to try to help contribute and give back in some small way to help find treatments, or at least understand disease mechanisms in order to help find drugs or treatments to treat some of these really terrible diseases of the body and the brain. What I do when I'm not working is I'm actually probably working. I know that sounds ridiculous, but there are a lot of things I do with work that actually don't feel like work, but I do other things. So I spend a lot of time with my family. I have the most incredible daughter. She's a unicorn of greatness, and she's 12, and she's just so much fun. And my husband, and I have an incredible number of wonderful friends and family. And I think what fuels me is nature and the outdoors. So I spend a lot of time hiking on the mountain behind my house. I also have a huge affinity for water. So I've been a surfer all my life, and I just love being in water. So that's sort of some of the ways I spend my free time. My work is broad and encompasses many different aspects of neurological diseases. So I'd say this sort of falls into two main categories. The first has been I've been really interested in trying to develop highly faithful models of neurodegenerative diseases using human cells. So there's a technology that came about a little over a decade ago, it's been more than a decade, called induced pluripotent stem cell technology that allows us to basically model cells directly from patients with disease, and then we can study them in the laboratory setting. And so I've spent a lot of time developing lots of different models of disease, both for Huntington's disease, Parkinson's disease, and trophic sclerosis. These models are really challenging for many reasons. We tend to generate pretty naive cultures. They may represent sort of very early stages of development, not necessarily the stages that cells are when they start to undergo or have a display pathology. But even amidst the challenges, we've been able to identify really robust and reproducible disease-specific phenotypes across these cultures. And I'll say we've also learned some really important things that we didn't know before studying these cells in the lab. The other part of my work involves the study of genomics. So I've been really interested in trying to understand how different diseases manifest in different ways. And one way to do that is to study an individual's genome, or the DNA that they have. And so there's different variants or mutations that may predispose or change the risk of developing a disease, but also may change the development itself of how the disease progresses. So I think it's really exciting to try to be able to identify different mutations or a constellation of different mutations that may alter disease trajectory or even underlie disease itself. The future, I think, holds many exciting possibilities and a lot of promise. In particular, in the realm of genomics, I'm so excited to, as we learn more about how different mutations or different variants affect disease states, those will allow us to essentially, eventually, I believe, probably not in my lifetime, but probably in my daughter's lifetime or my granddaughter's lifetime, allow us to really be able to predict whether or not a person will get a disease, and when they do get a disease, how the disease trajectory will unravel. And so people use this term a lot, personalized medicine, but I do think that the more that we decode our genome, the more that we understand which mutations are both detrimental and protective, the more that empowers us to be able to identify drug candidates or small molecules or therapeutics that are specific to an individual's constellation of genetic variants, which is already sort of starting to happen, right, with breast cancer, which is really exciting. And I'm certain that that's going to come true for many different diseases. And I'm really excited for what the future holds in that arena.